Have you ever been aware of an opening that's really terrifying for white? It's very easy to play, it's very aggressive, and it takes the fear in anybody that sees it. This opening is called the Trompowsky Attack. This is an opening that comes from d4, knight f6, bishop d5. And this one has a lot of tricks to it. There's a lot of ways to have a miniature or else a winning game in maybe 20 moves or less. Basically, things are like knight e4, c5, d5, and e6. We'll look at this in this video. The most common move is what I used to play, but I lost very quickly, is knight e4. There's two options. We can go bishop f4. I recommend this video. But if you want to try to play for tricks and traps, h4 is a really cool alternative that actually gets you a tricky position. White can actually win a lot of games quickly. But if black defends well, the right way, they can get easy equality. So I recommend this video bishop f4 instead. So they go c5, we go f3, attacking the knight. The cool thing about the Trompowsky attack is that this e4 move can come anytime. You can do e4 now, but I recommend, for your sake, to be solid, take on c5 first. They check us, knight c3 happens, but now after queen takes c5, e4, and we dominate the d5 square. They can't go d5 because they have two defenders, a d5, knight and f6, queen c5, but we have a queen of d1, knight c3, pawn e4. We actually cannot allow d5 from them. So they go d6 instead. We go queen d2. The purpose is to castle queen side, maybe marshal up the pawn to the king side. So basically, you know that the black king will be going the king side or the center, but we can just preferably, just first of all, castle or king, then we launch the pawns afterwards. So after a6, trying to do this like, okay, I know that you're going to castle queen side. Why not have a b5 launch preemptively? So we castle queen side, knight g7 from the b8 square. We go g4. They go a6 to block g5. And now we go h4, b5 like they want to. But the cool thing is we have an attack, really strong attack. So bishop e3, queen c7. We have a cool thing. Knight h3 is really preventively having a maneuver of this way and also preparing a cool idea really later on. So after knight b6 was very intentional, we go e5. So notice this e5 move, this pawn sack, this e5 sack or move is generally ideas that are common in the Trompowsky attack. So don't forget this thematic. If you have taken notes, Trompowsky uses the e5 push for advantage. So e5 to take the pawn, but now we have a winning attack. This d5 takes e5 is a blunder. We go knight takes b5. So they could take on b5 to defend the queen from this attack. So at this one, black has already lost. We importantly to take the knight first on b6. After the queen takes b6, we have a cool winning move. Bishop takes b5, check. Another sacrifice. They can't take the bishop because it'll be checkmate on d8. So there's a distraction tactic, it's a decoy. So they can't afford this. They can't afford anything. They can resign now because if this one happens, we'll take this with the bishop. Right? The check is also a check. They can't do rook d8. It's a check. So this one, checkmate is basically the game is over. So this is basically the summation of this e5 push is a really critical way to attack the enemy king. So if you see this position, white is already castled, black is up in the center, he'll be not castled for a long time. So why do? We open up the center and attack the enemy king that is not castled, not developed, and we can deploy our attacks and troops to actually end the game, right? So this is a key thing to think in mind in the Trompowsky attack. If your opponent is not castled, open the center and kill the king. All right. So let's go back to the opening phase where we have not knight e4, the most popular move, but let's say the other standard move, the c5. Very aggressive counterattack, but we go d5 now. It's important we go distinguish c5 early, we go d5, saying that you can't develop your knight in c6 early because our pawn is in the way. So they go queen b6, attacking b2, we say, we don't care. Knight c3, queen takes b2, bishop d2. So anybody knows that England gambit d4 e5, this is a common thing that we can do to counter the England gambit. We go bishop b2, defend this knight c3, and we have a good position. So they can go queen b6 back to avoid traps. We go e4. The cool common themes that you can just actually pay attention to, the Trompowsky attack gets the center for yourself early, and we have a good aggressive attack, and it'll be really fun for us and very nightmarish for him. So they go d6, we go f4, creating more space and control in the center. e6, trying to, let's say, attack the pawn center, but rook b1 attacking the queen. They go back. Now bishop b5 check. The cool thing is, after bishop takes d7, we have this cool move, d takes e6. They can't do this one because we have an intermezzo, in between move, is pawn takes f7 check. The cool thing is, the Trompowsky is very tactical. If you're a tactical player, Trompowsky is the one for you. So you're going to have a lot of zwitz and zugs, let's say in between moves, and also we have a really good attack really early, center of control, we have aggression, we have nightmare fuel against the black player, alright? So let's go to the place that we just usually face people to, pawn takes e6, alright? Bishop c4, knight c6, and now knight f3, just develop, alright? Knight a5, bishop e2, just get our bishop safe. After bishop e7, we go e5. Again, the thematic Trompowsky e5 move comes again. So they're taking e5, we're taking e5, knight h5. We castle, they castle. But the cool thing is we have a plan of queen e1. That leads us to have a lot of plans. Knight e4 is coming in, attacking the knight and a5 with a bishop and queen. If the knight is gone, the pawn to b7 is actually lost, and white has having a lot of play. So white has more space, has more play, more active pieces, more really coordinated knights. The knights are more centralized, where the black is on the edge. This is terrible. There's no more to be said than white is better. So let's go back to the where we had this, let's say, third move. Instead of c5, let's say if they go e6. e6 is a solid line. I tried, but again, I lost really quickly. e4 happens now. So the knight is pinned, so they can't take the pawn because this queen will be lost. That's why they have to usually recommend to do bishop e7 or a6. a6 is the most common. So we take the knight on f6, take the queen back, we go c3. It's a really cool line I recommend to go c3, and not having this as knight c3 and bishop b4 pins. I don't want to have any pins. I want to have knight on somewhere else. c3. After d5, we go knight d2. This is where we want to have the knight put in. So, as a French defense player myself, I don't usually like to have somebody play against me what's called a tirage setup with knight d2. Knight d2 is a solid opening choice, and this is no different. This is actually a solid choice for white to play for advantage. Alright? c5, trying to crack the center, we go just do knight gf3. So knight c6, we go bishop b5 to pin the knight. So we go a6. The cool thing is we'll just take the knight. Then knight e5. And this is really distraught. For what can black do? Basically, the only move that makes sense is queen d8. If they take the pawn d4, we have this clever move, queen a4. This basically lights out. Again, it's a thematic thing that if black's not careful, he's going to lose the game really quickly. So if the queen takes the knight, queen takes c6 is the fork between the rook and the king. This game over. Again, you can have a quick win in this opening really fast before you know it. So that's why I said before, the very early part of the video, it can be scary to play against a Trompowsky. Alright? So this is usually why people go queen d8, but we just take on c6 anyways. Take the pawn and attack the queen. They go queen b6, we go knight e5 back, and they could do takes b2, but rook b1 happens. Queen takes a2, but then rook a1, queen b2, queen a4 check, game over. Right? So if they go something like this, boom, bam, we have a fork of the king and the rook. Right? This is a really devastating things happen. You can do knight c6, you can do a lot of things to black, and we have overall initiative, we have attack, we can castle our king in a timely fashion, and we're having an overall killer structure. So last thing I'll talk to you about in the Trompowsky opening. Let's talk about the last line, which is critical, d5. Now we're going to talk about showing you a game of Magnus Carlsen's white using Trompowsky to beat Vladimir Kramnik. So Magnus played e3, c5. I recommend you play the Magnus way. It's really easy and powerful and solid. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6, e takes f6. Looks natural, but this is not really good. Look at the lines. You can look at the lines yourself, but it's really bad for black, and white is really crushing. So that's why Kramnik decided to play g6, f6, which is looking ugly, but that's their problem, not ours. So we go takes in c5, e6 to take the pawn back with the bishop, knight f3, knight b7, well, knight d7 rather. So c4, takes in c4, c6, a pawn sack, saying that, okay, I want to make your pawns really, really looking silly. Knight b6, knight bd2, c3. Again, trying to do the Magnus plan to sacrifice a pawn to make the structure really silly. Pawn takes c3, pawn takes c6. Now queen c2, bishop b7, bishop d3, and f5. So saying that I want to not castle because of the castle. There's check with a bishop-queen defense. So that's why they go Kramnik dude dead f5, saying that I want to castle maybe and not having this problem at all. e4 says, okay, I want to blow up the center. The king is in middle, why not just blow it up? Basically Trompowsky, let's say, way to live. Queen f6, tagging the pawn to c3 twice, rook c1 defending it twice. After castles, we castle. And Kramnik to c5, maybe just doing this plan to go this way to have this bishop be aggressive. Rook e1, rook d8, a4, possible a5 coming in. So c4, attacking the bishop, we go bishop f1. You can take this one, but Magnus decided to preserve the bishop for a later date. Takes an e4, knight to c4, attacking the queen now. So they go queen f5. Magnus played knight d4, attacking the queen again. So bishop takes d4, getting rid of this bishop that's really solid, but he has to do something, not lose. So Kramnik did not take the pawn d4. He played bishop b7, and being aggressive like you want to do with a c-pawn push, might as well have the bishop be active. Knight c5, attacking the bishop. Now what to do? Kramnik does queen takes c2 is a trade of queens. Now we do rook takes c2. Kramnik does bishop c6. Instead, now I want to try to play this endgame out. It's a really complicated one. But I'll bet that my, let's say, structure is better than yours. Magnus played a5, rook d4, trying to defend the pawn extra times, but takes into b6. So why didn't he try to play the knight somewhere? Well, it's really hard to say. It's hard to say what can he be doing to defend everything. It goes back there, Magnus will just take the pawn and defend the d pawn, and black is just miserable, just absolutely miserable. Something like this one, for example. So that's why he just this one, sacrifice this one, and pawn knight takes e6, basically saying, oh, I'll sack this knight back in order to have the take on c4 and have a target. This is going to be a really easy target to pick up. So you're probably thinking, what is happening? White has proceeded to pawns in a row, like the three stooges in a better, more sophisticated way, and black has isolated pawns. Really ugly, really disastrous. That's why Magnus went on to win the game. So let's see how he finished. Bishop b7, h3 to get left for the king, king f7, bishop b3, king e7, double the rook in the e file. Again, 3 versus 2 defenders, so they had to defend with the rook on d6. Rook e4, maybe moving it this way. Rook a3, rook e3 from the first rank. h5, rook h4, again, trying to do this one, attack the h pawn. Bishop e8 to defend again the pawn h5. King h2, avoiding the checks maybe with rook e1. So it's really, a lot of times people want to get rid of the possibility of surprise checks, so might as well have this out of the mind. Bishop e6 happened. Rook b4, maybe putting pressure on b6, king f6, king g3, making it more active. e5, king h4, very active. Rook d4 check, trade the rooks. Rook e6 check, and you see this b6 pawn is falling. We have Kramnik to try to promote the pawn. Bishop d1 saying that, oh, I'll sit on your promotional square. And how about that? So rook a2, king g3, defend the f2 pawn, h4, take the pawn, but we go back. So rook f6, trade this one, and this is a clearly easy endgame because these pawns are connected to past pawns. So we can defend, like basically have the bishop and king take this one, and the two pawns are connected. This king cannot take anybody because the other pawn will be promoting. So basically, Kramnik was trying to make Magnus let him in, but Magnus is so smart. He said g3, so he's not going to be giving you any counterplay Kramnik even a little bit. He's smarter like that. So bishop f5, h4 doesn't have any chances. Bishop b6, and now we take on d2. Carlsen is really clever. That's why he is the endgame master. So king e4, king e2, bishop b4 check, king e1. They can't trade the bishop because, again, the king versus two connected pawns, easily winning. So they have to preserve the bishop to have any fight. King f2, king e5, king e3, bishop b7, bishop b2, bishop b4, bishop b6, trying to have this guy up. So this one, h5, king f6, king f4 going in. Maybe this one's coming in. Bishop b6, bishop e4, maybe. This is going to have with this like red copret with the g pawn, and having no worries about h6 because the bishop would be, let's say if this one happens, the bishop will be, let's say, off the board. So let's not make it loose. Magnus Carlsen just chose bishop b4, king g7, king g5, bishop b7, h6 check, king h8, king f4, bishop b6, and the bishop f5. Again, he can't trade. g4, g5, bishop e6 check, king goes up, bishop e6, g6 rather, king f6, and he's trying to be clever, saying that, okay, Magnus Carlsen, I know that you're not going to be a loser and just take this one stalemate. So Magnus Carlsen's not one of those people. He said, okay, try Kramnik. I'm not going to fall for your free candy, free with a quotation mark. So the bishop has defended himself. Bishop there. One thing about this endgame is tricky because they can't do g6 because the bishop will be happy to sacrifice itself because this is a draw. You know that the pawn and the bishop of the round color square is a draw. This is what Kramnik is calling on, that maybe Magnus has to really configure and how to win this game because it's technicality. I want to sacrifice the bishop for the g-pawn, that'll be a draw. That is what Kramnik is calculating. This is why he's not resigning, because it is portion right here. This is why Magnus Carlsen has to put work in to win against Kramnik. So he did it masterfully. He played bishop c6, bishop d5, bishop g8 check, saying that I want to have a trade of bishops. And he had to force it, because this one, again, this is really, really simple. And that is how Magnus Carlsen was able to win and overcome Kramnik in this Trompowsky opening. That was the end game. This is a good conversion that is really true to itself. A wide Trompowsky attack is the opening for aggressive players that want to play quick games, control center, have fun, make your opponents terrified, and all of it in one big package. And I'll see you in the next video. Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.